let's look at Replimune real quick. I just thought Replimune was kind of a dog. Yeah, I didn't know. They have approval? Goodman, my ex-girlfriend's last name is Goodman, so I was worried it's you. You're like, when did you learn so much about biopharma? I taught you well. Easy taught you. Any girlfriend of mine automatically becomes like a stock market expert and a biopharma expert. One girl I dated a long time ago, she became a hedge fund expert. And so like we broke up, or not even when we were dating, she would go out and, you know, guys would hit on her, pretty blonde girl. And guys would be, this is earlier in the hedge fund world, this is 20 years ago. So, you know, hedge funds were still a mature market, very, very small market. My girlfriend would go out for drinks with one of her girlfriends, and a bunch of dudes would come in and try to flirt with them and brag. And they were like, oh, we work on Wall Street. And then my girlfriend would be like, oh yeah, where? And they'd be like, oh, this hedge fund, that hedge fund. She goes, do you know Stevie Cohen? And they're like, oh, no. And she's like, my boyfriend gives some advice sometimes. They'd be like, oh. And they're like, how much? She's like, how much do you trade? And they're like, oh. She's like, oh, you don't trade. You're an analyst. Oh. Well, that must be nice. When you recommend a stock to your boss and your boss doesn't do the trade, then how does that feel? Doesn't feel good, right? That must be awful. Well, one day you might become a PM. One day you'll do it. And back then, you know, Galleon was a big fund. So she'd be like, oh, you know Raj? I met Raj. He's nice. I'm not calling this RP1. I'm calling this 𝗍𝗏𝗔𝗍𝗔𝗍. Raj still says he's innocent. Listen, insider trading, there's a fine line. I would agree. What's the 100x cap? Got me out the FDA game. Now I gotta hit the streets. I could easily hop on a track with 21 Savage or whatever. Those producers, they make you sound good. I couldn't carry a whole album, but one track? Bill Gates sound good on one track. Now listen, Windows still maintains a monopoly 40 years later. So all I've got to say to the FTC is hater. Kevin Gates or Bill Gates, that's right, he'd be like, I'm the only Gates you should trust. Okay, we got the iambic pentameter, that's one famous one. What about the other ones? Yeah, usually there's the number of events. At a certain number of events, the statistical analysis plan says this is when you have to conduct the analysis. Primary analysis of IGNITE, which is, oh, they're combining it. I hope there's monotherapy efficacy. Basis of PD-1 failed melanoma. Now, why are you giving it with PD-1? Okay, so they're filing in second half 24. I'd prefer if they did a monotherapy. This weird, like, well, you know, I failed PD-1, but I'm still going to keep doing it, so... And why isn't the market excited about this thing? Okay, what's this? IGNITE 3. Again, plus nivolumab. Well, this is at least a phase 3. Is there control group? Okay, versus best alternative. Well, that's at least a good trial. I don't know, there's plenty of patients who are refractory to PD-1 melanoma. I mean, it's not a small market. Yeah, there is that other oncolytic virus, yeah. Is this intratumoral as well? Don't tell me this is intratumoral. I hate intratumoral. Nobody wants to give those. Replimune with 1. Genetic HSV1. What? You want herpes? Well, I'd rather have herpes than die, I guess. And then you have Abdul-lag. They have to... I like how they don't say anywhere here. It doesn't say anywhere here that it's intratumoral. That kind of hints at it. Okay, here's the monotherapy result. Monotherapy, squamous, cutaneous squamous cell and Merkel cell. And that's pretty good. It's definitely a viable drug. Great chat room with lots of Wall Street pros. We do have fundamentals data. Going back years, here's the income statement. And just click one link, and you've got that in Excel, and you can start your model right off the bat just with that. The command line to launch everything you need. Oh, this is options now too. See some options trades scrolling down. And video calls. We're definitely gonna do more quant stuff. You're gonna see some amazing stuff soon. And remember, we are gonna raise the price of Godel. It's $40 a month now. When you see the new stuff we have coming, you know, there'll be a waiting list to sign up. And it could be as much as $100 a month. And you lock in your price for life. If you subscribe now at $40, that's your price for life. So we have a really cool system coming that's going to be out of control. It's backwards compatible for Bloomberg. So if you know the Bloomberg mnemonics, you can work Godel. And if you know the Godel mnemonics, you can go to Bloomberg. So even if you work on a Bloomberg during the day and you need to look up some stuff real quick and you don't want to sign in on Bloomberg, it takes like 5 minutes to sign in on Bloomberg. Just jump on Godel and look stuff up there. Listen, I'm a software executive. I'm going to scream developers, 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 like traders, traders, traders. There's some much better traders than me in here. They're just, you don't know who is who because it's just, it's more or less anonymous. But I invited all my top trader friends in here. Some of these guys are very, very successful. They don't necessarily want to reveal who they are. Some of them might. Bloomberg is 400,000 users, but it's also $25,000. Yeah, you could sell your account too, Joseph. Eventually, on one of my streams, having a legacy Godel account that's locked in on prices would be pretty valuable. Assuming that the product becomes, popular and successful, which I think it'll be good. Yes, it'll stay the same price from when you signed up, as long as you don't cancel. If you cancel, you're gonna start all over again. And eventually people will churn and cancel. So even though I'll probably lose money on some of those some of those users, as we build up the service, the cost per user kind of goes up and up. I don't think those first couple of thousands of users will cost me too much. Right now they're profitable, but I mean, once we add every bond, every stuff like that, it's going to get very expensive for us to have the users. And that's why the price almost certainly will have to rise. Bloomberg's $2,500 a month. My guess is it costs Bloomberg around $100 for a customer. So at $100 a month with all their stuff, I would break even, which obviously can't do. But they have a lot of stuff. They built stuff over 20, 30 years in there. We can match anybody's salary, but you'd be crazy. I'm very generous on equity. And I'm not because Godel is not going to require too much investors. We still own 90% of the company. So for us, if you get 2% of the company, which is very generous for engineers, but that's roughly kind of what we'll give, 1%, 2%, 1.5%, and you can earn more if you do great. You do great, you can earn up to 5% of the company. If it's a $1 billion company, I mean, it could be a $10 billion company. It's a good, So a lot of startups don't give much equity, and it's pathetic. Now, look, you can't give equity like that forever. But, 1%. Salespeople definitely get equity. Absolutely. Why not? The salespeople are the lifeblood of the company. Without sales, and I can't do this all day. It's a lot of work. Okay, so they're going to do the phase 3, 50 milligram to begin second half 2024. The 2001 study is rapidly enrolling, allegedly. Magnitude. I don't know if Meta hits 600, but we're working on some gene therapy stocks right now. One of them is NTLA Intellia. New clinical data from this guy, 3001. Now this doesn't have a good treatment, right? AATD? Or are you going to say that one's got a perfect treatment too? No, they don't need 23andMe. Maybe they should buy it. A lot of people pitch me to buy it. Don't worry about ADHD. You focus on you, okay? What are you asking about ADHD? What are you, Takeda? What got you so curious? Yeah, maybe it's antitrypsin that does the real moving for Intellia. One of these drugs is going to work out. They got $1 billion on the balance sheet and 3 cures. The first 2 they've proven cures the disease. The third one is brand new. But it works the same exact way. I don't understand it. Nobody likes it on Wall Street. Bitcoin, you can check on Godel. Let's see. 63,428, 422, 425, 426. 63K, give or take. Oh, okay, so the new drug is gene insertion, which they have not done before. They've scrambled genes, but they don't insert. I don't drive. I haven't been to Europe in many years. Nixigurin. Ziclumerin. Maybe I should look at Oxy. I want to finish these gene therapy companies because everyone's talked about CRISPR. But when I give you the perfect CRISPR stock, nobody wants it. CRISPR this, CRISPR that, Nobel Prize winning, award-winning technology. And the biggest stockholder is ARK. It's like the kiss of death, right? Can I sort by this? Oh, sweet. This is actually pretty cool. I can sort by change. So Wellington sold the most, but Price Waterhouse, or T Rowe Price sold some. Bullrich sold some. Rocco sold some. And I go to the buy section. ARK bought more. Deep Track is a pretty good hedge fund, I think, from what I've heard. They bought some. Contrarius, I don't know, but other than the kind of weird name, just trying to make it Latin. Contrarius. Seems like a hedge fund. I don't know. We are Contrarius. Yeah, it looks like a hedge fund to me. It also looks like maybe it's a mutual fund. Yeah, none of these jump out at me. It's crazy, other than ARK. Yeah, it looks like a mutual fund. Yeah, open-ended, self-managed, Irish collective asset management vehicle. Okay. I'd say certain hedge funds can be seen as a signal. Yeah, that's a good idea. Shkreli adopt me. Great idea. It does look like they're positioning the HAE drug almost ahead of the amyloidosis drug. Maybe I'm reading too much into that. Ah, yes, it's the Regeneron deal. Oh, okay. So the phase 3 for polyneuropathy is only 50 people? Only in ex-US sites? Oh, because it's placebo-controlled. A little odd. I don't know that the mutations being present in a disease are causal of that disease progress, especially in a complex disease that's rapidly accelerating. We'd have a cure for AML by now. I mean, look at the FLT3 experience. FLT3 is like the driving mutation in a lot of AML. And there's finally a FLT3 drug. It took a long time to get FLT3 drugs going. It's a really complex disease with the bone marrow niche, etc. I'd feel more comfortable if there was a mutational driver and the protein itself was like known to do this or that or what have you. My first biotech investing mentor, actually it was a guy named 𝗥𝗡𝗚 𝗠𝗁𝗏. We would end up working together. I think he's at Axome now, but I don't know for sure. He might have left. But I named him my head of business development. He was at JP Morgan, sell-side analyst at JP Morgan when I worked for Jim Cramer, and he put me through the ropes. Yeah, immunotherapy is tricky. You know, you want to really lock in on a protein. You know, just injecting a little protein into somebody doesn't necessarily create antibodies, and there's different epitopes and all this stuff. There's a reason that, especially cancer, I mean, you're talking about, you know, protein evolution really is hard to, that's why there's no KRAS vaccine. Otherwise, we could just jab somebody with KRAS, right? And we know KRAS causes some cancers, it's like 80–90%. Right? But there's selective pressure and there's a mutational change. That's why cancer vaccines have always been a LARP. I'm giving this one the benefit of the doubt. It shouldn't be. And it still doesn't match up to what I want. So it's a real long shot. And I want to save you money. My incentives are aligned with you. I want you to make a fortune and not lose it all. I think you're better off in cassava. Just, you know, you can always lower your position, right? If you have a 50% position or something crazy like that, make it more normal. Make it a 20% position. 20% is a lot. Most hedge funds, most funds aren't going to do in 20% positions. Split it with cassava. Just act like, okay, well, cassava is going to be a good return. So I need some money in both just in case I miss cassava. Maybe that's like a good attitude to have. Psychologically, if you were to start, a great psychological thing for portfolios is start your portfolio from scratch, from $0. You sold everything. You got to put your whole portfolio back together, every stock, every option, whatever. What would you buy and sell? What would you buy and short from a start? Don't worry about what prices you've paid for things in the past. The market doesn't owe you any money. The stocks don't owe you any money. Let's say you have Nvidia, you have Microsoft, I don't know, you have some stock that's been down a lot, like Team.
that you still believe in, would you actually buy back all of those stocks precisely in the same amounts that you had them in already? If the answer is no, then you have cognitive blindness around position sizing and position history. Again, there's no history in the stock market. If you bought a stock at 50 and it's at 20, there's no sense in waiting for it to come back. Unless you would buy it with a fresh $1 million, you would say, you know what? I'm going to buy a ton of this stock at 20. So I really believe it's going to 1,000 or 100 or 200. That's why I bought it at 50 and I still believe in it. If you take that new money and you put it somewhere else, well, you got to sell that stock even though it's 20. It doesn't mean anything what the past was, how much, you put in at what price. Irrelevant. The only thing that matters is what's the price going forward. Let's get back to work. It's always the little fish are the fastest. They have nothing to lose, so that's what it is on the streets too. Quest. RBC. Shopify's cool. Oh, look at that one. TD. I don't even know what half these are. There's a lot of people that need Canadian, reliable Canadian investing content. Can't even do 10 a day. What are you talking about, 10 a day? What 10 a day? Can't do 10 a day what? I know you're not the real Bill Gates. Canada has interesting equities. It's not totally bone marrow, brain, muscle, lung, and eye. If they could do that, Intellia will be a $100 billion company. I've never met George, actually. I met Lenny. Oh, they should not do ex vivo, man. I don't know. I'm not going to look at that other drug until... I want to see... I don't think Google Patents is really it. I don't trust that it's giving me the right. Deduplicate? No, I don't want you to deduplicate at all. Yeah, patents is definitely... V2 of Godel actually had patents. This is a Colombian patent. It's not really clear what this invention does. Looking at Intellia's patents so I can get a sense for... Okay, this is TTR experiment. Lots of sequences here. Better read the patent like this. This is what CRISPR looks like, by the way, or at least the guide RNA of CRISPR. All right, see, these are different RNA motifs and how well they do gene editing. You can see they're only editing 5%. That's how CRISPR works. Only getting 5% of the gene edited, 10%. So they want it to be as efficient as possible, give as little DNA as possible, or RNA in this case. Here the editing is slightly higher, 30% editing. That's pretty good. I'm going to edit all of your genes right there in the chat. What is this? They got 60%, maybe even 80%? 80% gene editing? Come here, kitty. I'm going to gene edit her first. Then you guys. 80-90% editing with only 60 nanomolar. Nibbles is my animal. I get to do whatever I want with her. And this is with liponanoprotein too. Lipo nanoparticles. This is the Moderna stuff. Good stuff. That's good stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of things that change hair. The follicle level, including melanin. Exactly. Topical would be much better than a pill to change your whole testosterone to grow a little hair. Yeah, Kramer was always bald. He came out of the womb bald. Looks like they did all of this in TTR liver. Okay, these I think are just efficiency things. Can't use these sequences either. They're patented. Oh, PD-1. Oh, this is for cell-based therapy. They're going to delete PD-1 from these cells. It's another cell therapy. I wish they didn't do cell therapy. It's kind of a waste of time. LAG3. That's interesting. TIM3. I'll write these down. Oh. Well, that's cool. This is Regeneron. They want to treat genetic diseases by doing a gene insertion. Why give the enzyme when you could give the gene that makes the enzyme? We're looking at NTLA, Intellia. Ocular cell therapy. This is kind of what I was looking for. For its ocular cells, genetically modified. What is this for? What kind of eye disease? Maybe, I hope not VEGF. I don't think we need VEGF eye therapy, any more VEGF agents. Certainly not from this company. We've had enough. See, they haven't announced this to the public,
But all I gotta do is go to the patent office. They should not target this disease. They're just targeting the diseases everyone else is targeting. I don't like that. Gotta do something novel. Oh, I like these amine lipids. This is such a hard engineering job getting. Yeah, it's probably getting through the brain a little bit, but you know, it's. I don't think the brain is the biggest problem. Factor 9. TCF4 for eye disease, but also schizophrenia. Interesting gene. I vaguely recall the TCF gene family. Okay, that's it for Intellia patents. Nothing too exciting. I still like it, but it's been frustrating. Okay, so Intellia is exciting, I think. It's like one of these companies maybe for the long term. I think management's pretty good. They've steered these drugs into the right places. Oh, they had an AML drug.